right, my dear children? So in this part we are discussing about the further things related with the sound lesson. Especially here we are discussing about some different types of sounds. In the beginning of our lesson, we discussed about artificial and natural sounds. And again, we discussed about the musical instruments or the sounds which are generated by the vibration of metal strings or else metal plates. Sounds which generates the instruments which generate sounds by the vibration of an air column, and the instruments or the things which generate sound by the vibration of a membrane. So those are the main things we discussed earlier in our lesson. So in this part we are going to discuss another type of sounds, another two types of sounds, right, according to their origin or how they are being arranged. So we'll move on with the slide. Let's see. So here we are discussing about musical notes and noises. So here you are given with a point first about noises. You are given with a note about noises. We'll see. So noises, these are the sounds which are not rhythmically arranged. These are the sounds which are not rhythmically arranged. What do you mean by a rhythm? Now, rhythm means it has a certain intervals when playing or when having the musical notes. When playing or when the sound is being created, they have equal intervals during the creation of the sound. So those sounds are very pleasant to our ears. Rhythmically arranged sounds are very pleasant to our ears. We would like to listen rhythmically arranged sounds. But when you take noises are not like that. There is no rhythm. I mean, like when you take the arrangement of the musical notes or the notes inside the noise, the notes are being scattered here and there. There are no certain gaps between the noises, right? The vibrations are not in an order. These vibrations are very heavy and they do not have a certain interval limits so that they would have a rhythm. So these noises are unpleasant to our ears. We can't hear those things, right? Those musical noises are very unpleasant to our ears, right? So that's what we mean by a rhythm. Rhythm means here the sound or the vibrations are arranged at certain intervals so that they would play a wonderful, pleasant sound. If you take a noise, the vibrations are scattered here and there. Vibrations in the instrument or the machine or the thing, those vibrations are heavy and unpleasant, right? So noises, these are the sounds which are not rhythmically arranged. These are the sounds which are not rhythmically arranged. As there is no rhythm, these are also unpleasant to our ears. As there is no rhythm, now I told you that these do not have any rhythm. So therefore, these are very unpleasant to our ears. These sounds, when you take noises, these are unpleasant to our ears. So in this figure also you can see there's a small child, right? We'll assume that this is his sister, So when he is playing this instrument, his sister is closing the ears. It's because that these sounds which emitted by the musical instrument or these two plates are somewhat heavy, and the other thing is that those things are not rhythmically arranged. So the lady in here or the sister won't be able to listen those sounds as these sounds are very heavy. So like that way, what are those kind of sounds or noises which you listen in your environment that has a loud sound or loud sounds or loud noises? We'll see those things. So you are given with two examples in here, right? For the noises, sound of traffic. If you take vehicles, when lots and lots of vehicles are trapped in a limited space, right? You have seen that kind of a thing is referred as a traffic. So when you are moving in a road, you can you may come across with these kind of things, these kind of situations. So sometimes the drivers are going to honk the horn, sometimes the machines or the engines will provide, or they're going to these engines are going to provide heavy sounds. So there are different situations, right? There are different kinds of sounds which are emitting in these situations that's going to give very heavy noise. So that kind of a noise is referred as a traffic noise, a traffic noise, right? Traffic noises are, if you take traffic noises are usually emitting from what? The vehicles. So vehicles are emitting traffic noises by their machines, by the horns and all other stuffs which contain inside the vehicles. So the sound of traffic, we don't want to hear that. We ignore the traffic. Those traffic sounds are terrible to our ears. So sound of traffic can be considered as a noise. And the next one is the sound of machines. So in the earlier of our lesson, I have given you several examples regarding the machinery parts which vibrate and this noise or the sound which they are going to emit. Like a drilling machine. Now the drilling machine, when the drill is going to rotate, the machinery part or the metal plates are going to vibrate and produce sound. Those vibrations are not rhythmically arranged. Those vibrations are not rhythmically arranged. So therefore, those things are considered as noises. Those things are considered as noises, right? When you take a machine, when you take a drilling machine, a jackhammer is the instrument that we use to dig. Or in dig wells or else dig some kind of a hole. When the people who are constructing roads to break the rocks, heavy rocks, they use the jackhammer thing like this. They are using like this way. There is a handle, then the switch is being pressed, the jackhammer will pierce down to the ground. Then by that way the rocks are being removed or rocks are being shattered, right? So when operating the jackhammer, a heavy sound is going to emit. Right, now that's how does the jackhammer is going to work, right? Jackhammer, when you press down a switch, when you turn on the jackhammer, it's going to vibrate heavily, right? And the heavy rocks can be pierced down or can be removed, can be shattered by using that sharp edge in the jackhammer. So when operating the jackhammer, a heavy sound is going to emit from the machine. That's why it is considered as a noise. Those sounds are not rhythmically arranged. So the sound of machines like drills and jackhammers, those things can be considered as noises, right? Then sound of a barking dog, right? Now, earlier things that we have discussed are artificial things, no? So now we are discussing about these things. You are given with an example, sound of a barking dog. Sound of a barking dog. So sound of a barking dog is a natural thing. You know that dog is a natural living being. At the beginning of our lesson, I told you that sounds can be divided into two main parts as sounds artificial, sounds natural. Natural sounds are the things, right, or the sources of sound which naturally occurring, and artificial, man-made things. So dogs are naturally occurring living things. So therefore, sound of a barking dog is also a noise, but this noise is an artificial noise. Sound of a barking dog do not have a rhythm. Dogs are not going to bark with a rhythm, no. So they are like shouting. So these sounds are not rhythmically arranged. So therefore these things are heavy noises. When listening to these sounds are difficult. So sound of a barking dog can be considered as a noise which emits naturally. Then here you are given with musical tones or musical notes. So musical tones. Here you are given with musical tones, right? Or else music. Musical tones or music. Now in this figure also you can see that this person is sitting on a couch and he is listening to some music and he feel really calm and quiet. There's peace in his mind. It's because that listening to musical sounds would calm our mind. There are some certain music which do not calm our mind as well. But most of the times we listen to music to calm and to have some peace in our mind. It's because that when you take musical tones or else music is rhythmically arranged. The sounds or the vibrations which occur in those music, right, in the music, the vibrations occur in music, they have a good rhythm. Interval by interval these things are being arranged, right? The notes in the instrument arranged interval by an interval. So when playing it, you can hear or you can listen to a very pleasant sound. So these are very pleasant to our ears and these sounds are arranged rhythmically, right? These sounds are arranged rhythmically. So rhythmically arranged sounds are referred as musical tones or music. So examples are given. Sound of music. If you take sound of music, I mean sound of songs. If you take sound of songs, sound of music, right? Sound of a playing instrument to a rhythm. Those sounds are very pleasant to our ears. It's because that those sounds are arranged rhythmically. Those sounds are arranged rhythmically. So here, rhythmically arranged sounds like sound of music, sounds of musical instruments. Now, when you take sounds of musical instruments, they should be played, the musical instrument should be played to a rhythm. Otherwise, if a person is just going to vibrate the guitar, then those musical tones will not be music. Okay? Those things will be just a noise. But we have to play it to a rhythm. We have to play it to a rhythm, or the musical notes should be played by using the musical instrument. So, sounds of musical instrument which played to a certain rhythm can be considered as a musical tone. Then playing a song. When playing a song, when playing a song, when someone is playing a song, right? When someone is playing a song by using any kind of an instrument, right? Now I know that now when you guys at your home, you tap to a desk or drum to a desk or to yourself or like this to a rhythm, right? So that's also can be considered as a music, right? That thing also can be considered as a music, right? Okay, so playing song or playing music can be considered as a musical tone. Then all of these things are once again artificial things, man-made things. But there are sounds, there are different sounds or music that occur naturally as well. This is a good example for the natural music, the sound of birds. Now, when you go to outside, when you go to your environment, to your surroundings, you can hear the sound of birds. There are several birds who's going to shout or who's going to emit sound to a wonderful rhythm. In the morning, in the early morning, when you wake up, we can listen those sounds. So we would like to hear those sounds. It's because those sounds are rhythmically arranged. So therefore, the sound of birds can be considered as a sound which emit rhythmically, or else it is a musical tone, or else a musical, or else it is called as a music, right? It is a music. These music are, or these musical notes are naturally arranged or natural musical notes, natural notes, right? So always remember, the 2 points to remember in here is musical tones or music is rhythmically arranged, and the other thing is that we would like, or these sounds are pleasant to our ears. If you take noises, noises are not rhythmically arranged, so those sounds are quite difficult to hear and those sounds are unpleasant to our ears, right? So we'll move on with the next one. My dear children, so when you are going to listen heavy sounds or heavy noises, my dear children, when you are listening to heavy noises, there are some certain situations you may need to hear heavy noises. When you are going around, when you are going when you are going near to a certain machine which emits heavy sounds, like a jackhammer, like in when now you are in a factory. Let's imagine that you organized a field trip that go to a certain factory. Now those factories have heavy sounds because they have different types of machines. So when machineries are going to work, they emit heavy sounds. So in these kind of situations, listening to heavy sounds would damage our ears. Listening to heavy sounds which would damage our ears. So it's not good to listen heavy sounds more often. So in that kind of situation, especially when now we are going to a field trip, so we are just visiting for 1 or 2 hours, it's okay. Mostly for 1 or 2 hours, right? But when you take the workers who are doing works inside the factory, they would have to listen those sounds for a longer time period, like 1/3 of the day, like 8 to 9 hours. No, they have to listen those sounds. So it's not good for their ears to listen those kind of sounds. So in that kind of situation, there are some certain mechanisms which we can use. There are some certain precautionary mechanisms which we can use to avoid the bad things or the avoid the defects, to avoid the defects or to avoid the things, the bad things which happen to our ears from those kinds of heavy noises. So those workers can wear ear protectors like this. I think you have seen these in your environment when you are being visiting to a certain factory, or when you see a worker or else some machine operator. Those people use these kind of ear protectors, right, to protect their ears, because that sound emitted by machines would hurt their or would damage their ears. So ear protectors are being used to protect our ears in certain situations where we need to listen heavy sounds. So here, listening to heavy sounds is not good for your ears. Listening to heavy sounds is not good for your ears. Therefore, when people are near heavy sounds, they use protective measures. So protective measure means what? Wearing ear protectors. They can wear ear protectors. That's how they avoid the damages caused to our ears by the heavy sounds. We can use an ear protector in these kind of situations. Especially the workers or the machine operators are going to use these kinds of ear protectors to protect their ears from loud sounds. Okay. So that's all about with the noises and musical tones. So now in this part, we are discussing about ancient, traditional and modern musical instruments. Ancient, traditional and modern musical instruments. Okay, right. These are also musical instruments which produce sound according to three main ways that we discussed earlier. Either they are going to vibrate a membrane, or else by the vibration of a string, or else by the vibration of an air column. That's how they are going to generate sounds. But these musical instruments could be ancient. Ancient means they have a long history. Some musical instruments can be traditional, means these musical instruments are only found in a certain country. Now if you take Sri Lanka, in Sri Lanka there are several traditional drums, like in Sinhala we say Gataberaya, Udakkiya. So like that way there are some certain traditional musical instruments in Sri Lanka. Traditional, those things are unique to Sri Lanka. If you take India, India has the sitar, right? India has the sitar. So most common traditional instrument in India is the sitar. In Sri Lanka there are different drums like Udakkiya, Gataberaya and the Rabana thing, the large drum, right, that we play in Urdu festivals, right? Those things are like traditional to our Sri Lanka. So ancient, traditional, and the next thing is modern musical instruments. So if you take modern musical instruments, most of the people are using modern musical instruments in nowadays. If you take the organ, then Octa Pad, different types of drums, drum sets, like guitars. Now guitars are in different kinds, like bass guitar, box guitars, lead guitars. Like that way there are several types of guitars. in modern day-to-day life. So those are the three main types of musical instruments that we can observe in our day-to-day life. So it is said that musical instrument had been used for the services in religious places. In the earlier, in our earlier history, when you take Sri Lanka, now Sri Lanka was ruled by kings, no? So I think you have heard about there is a legend, or else there is a person, right, who is called as the announcer, right, who is called as the announcer. In Sinhala, we refer that person as the Anaberakaru, right? So that person, that announcer, he has a drum. Now he plays that drum here and there. He's going to give some certain announcements to the people. So the drum is a musical instrument, a traditional ancient one. So in religious places as well, we use these musical instruments, mostly in pirit chanting situations, right, in temples. Now in certain situations where the alms givings are being held, right, in those kind of religious activities, we use these traditional and ancient musical instruments. So they said that the musical instrument had been used for services in religious places mostly. So in ancient Sri Lanka, like earlier cases which I have explained to you about, that announcer thing in the king's time period. So in ancient Sri Lanka, the large drum, or else daula in Sinhala, the double drum, tammettama, and the trumpet. Here the trumpet means it's called as in Sinhala, it's called as the horaneva, right? So I think you have heard about that instrument. So these are prominent among those instruments. If you take traditional ancient instrument, that daula or the double drum and the trumpet or the horaneva are very prominent into Sri Lanka. These musical instruments are very important factors in places like pirit chantings, religious activities, in different types of traditional festivals. So we use these kinds of instruments. So in ancient Sri Lanka, we use these types of instruments mainly. So you are given with several figures. Of different types of ancient and traditional musical instruments. So here you can observe those things. So if you want to find out more details about these things, you can refer your books. You can refer more books, right? You can refer more books regarding these ancient and traditional musical instruments, or else best thing to do is follow up these things with your grandfather or else with your grandmother, right? So they would have sound knowledge about these traditional musical instruments, right? So as I told you earlier, most of the times we use these traditional and ancient musical instrument mostly in religious activities or else in our cultural festivals, like in our cultural festivals, or else mostly in our traditional and religious or cultural festivals mostly, right? So instruments are in use for the life activities of common folk, like devil dancing, chanting goodwill, and religious worships. So here you can see that most of these things are traditional. These common folk, right? Common folks, we use these instruments, right? So, and devil dancing, in Sinhala we refer this thing as a thawil, right? So in that kind of situation, devil dancing, right, we use these instruments. And the goodwill, with chanting goodwill or chanting pirit. When chanting pirit, right, we use these instruments. At the beginning of the chanting pirit, we use these instruments, right? And also in religious worships as well, right? In religious worship as well, we use these instruments. So here this is the devil dancing. The devil dancing, right? Special type of a dance, right? Then there are some dramas, Sinhala traditional dramas as well, right? Ancient to Sri Lanka, which been held for long time in from our culture, like Sokari, right? And those in those kind of folks as well, those things are the ones which are called as the common folks. In those kind of situations also, we use these traditional musical instruments. So here, this is a religious worship thing. Actually, it is now religious worships are being used in different occasions now, right? When you go to the Tooth Relic Temple, you can hear the chanting of the music of Hevisi. We prefer that thing as the Hevisi in Sri Lanka, right? So in that situation, we play different types of traditional musical instruments. So this is a traditional festival or else a religious festival where you can observe the traditional drums, right? Okay. Right, so mostly we use this traditional and ancient musical instrument mostly in cultural festivals, religious festivals or else activities, and common folk activities and dramas, right? Then we come to modern musical instruments. Modern musical instruments. These modern musical instruments are very important in musical festivals. Musical festivals, right? Modern musical instruments are very important in what? Modern musical instruments are very important in musical festivals. Now, I think all of you guys have been visited at least to a one wedding. If you take a wedding ceremony, right? In these days, there is a certain musical equipment or there's a certain musical event called DJs, right? So in that kind of situation, digital music is being produced. So how does the digitally music is being produced? Mostly from these modern musical instruments. Those music are very pleasant to our ears. The quality of the music is brilliant in these cases. Quality is much more good. I mean, like when you take the music created by those modern musical instruments, those modern musical instruments are going to produce wonderful sounds with a good quality. So here you are given with several musical instruments, modern musical instruments. So these are several. This is a guitar, not just a guitar, it's an electronic one, means that you can plug this thing into a computer or else to a different instrument or to a machine, and you can give sound to a large speaker, right? Most of these are used in musical festivals and in weddings also, wedding ceremonies. This is a special type of violin, a special type of violin. Special type of violin. Then these things are different types of organs. We refer this thing as keyboards. In usual our day-to-day life, we refer these things as keyboards, right? So specialty in these organs or these keyboard is that we can insert CDs or DVDs or maybe pen drives, USB drives, which we can plug in, and we can record the sound to those storage devices. We can record those sounds, and even we can play it, right? Even we can play it by plugging into a different computer or to a different instrument, right? And the other thing is that if you want to play a song, a music of a song, you can take a copy of that music and you can directly plug that thing into these organs or these keyboards. It can be a pen drive or else a CD. You can insert the CD into this thing, or else you can plug in that USB drive into this thing. You can plug in that USB drive into this thing, or else you can use that DVD or CD. So by that way you can play that sound, or else you can play that music which was got recorded. So most of the musical festivals in these days, they use this recording technology, right? The singer is going to behave like he is singing, but most of the times a recording is going to be played. A recording is going to be played while the singer is going to perform on the stage. Actually, he is performing. He is not going to sing live, right? But he is performing this thing. A recording is going to be played. So that's how most of the times in this modern day-to-day life, the musical festival works, right? How could these things are going to be evolved like that, right? So how could musicians can do this kind of stuff, or the artist who can do this kind of stuff? It's because mainly due to they can record the sounds in these kind of instruments. When using modern musical instruments, they can record the sound. That's the main benefit of modern musical instruments. And the other thing is that the recorded sounds could be played within these instruments as well, especially in keyboards, or else in our terms, organs. So these things are organs, not just organs, electronic organs. Keyboards. And this is also a most common modern musical instrument. There are 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 slides. You can see that there are 8 slides, plates. Therefore, this thing is called as the Octa Pad. Octa Pad. This is called as the Octa Pad, as it has 8 slides or 8 plates. So when this sound is going to emit from the Octa Pad when tapping on these 8 slides separately, and it's also electronic. We can plug into an electronic system. So it has these buttons. So when you push down different buttons, these plates in the Octa Pad is going to emit different kinds of sound, right? A most common one which we used in day-to-day musical festivals, right? That large musical festivals, right? In those musical festivals where the bands are going to be played, this Octa Pad thing is a most common one, right? So Octa Pad is also emitting these kinds of sounds. Octa Pad is also going to emit different kinds of sounds, as it has electronic systems. So that electronic system can be used to variate the sound in Octa Pad. So these are several modern musical instruments. So modern musical instruments are really important for the musicians or for the artist to record sounds and to play a recorded sound. Right, my dear children? So I think you have got a sound knowledge about modern musical instruments. Right. Right, my dear children. So here, now, when you observe this slide, you can see that there is a singer, and in this band, you can observe only two players. So one has a organ or else a keyboard, and the other one is just having a guitar. So you know that to play a musical band, there are several instruments which need. So there are several instruments which are very important in conducting a musical band. But in here you can observe clearly only two of the pieces are there, but still she could sing the whole song. So in the earlier case also I have explained to you that guitar is a modern musical instrument, and also this that keyboard, or in normal terms the organ, is also a modern musical instrument. These are more advanced. So when you take this organ has an ability to produce different types of sounds. There are different keys. This music can be digitalized. We can record the music into the keyboard or to the organ, right? So the whole orchestra can be played. So in here it is given that special importance of modern musical instrument is that a single person can fulfill the necessity of a full orchestra or a number of instruments by using a computer and a keyboard. So keyboard means this organ, okay, right? The musicians refer the organ as the keyboard, right? So by using this keyboard means that you can plug in this keyboard to a computer, or you can plug in this organ to a computer. Then by that way we can digitalize the music. Means that if you want, you can record the music into the keyboard. If you want, you can copy down a recorded file to a computer. So by that way we can create music, different types of musics. Okay, different type of music can be created. So Octa Pad is also commonly used for rhythm playing, and organ is used as a permanent keyboard instrument. Octa Pad is also a type of musical instrument. In the earlier slide I have explained you about the Octa Pad. So Octa Pad is also a main musical instrument, a modern musical instrument. So my dear children, now we are going to observe whether our organ can produce these sounds or not. So we'll head on to the lab and we'll see whether our organ can produce these sounds of an orchestra with different drum set sounds, different flute sounds, and any other musical instrument sounds. We'll see whether we can generate those kind of sounds by using the guitar, right? So we'll head on to the lab and we'll observe whether our organ can produce these sounds or not, right? So always remember, these modern musical instruments, these modern musical organs, they can produce these sounds. So we'll head on to the lab and see how to generate different kinds of sounds by using our organ. Right, my dear children. So let us see what kind of a sound can be taken just by playing organ. So I told you earlier, now when we take an electric organ like this, now you can observe there are like several keys in here, right? So we can turn it on and off, and we need to plug in some kind of, we need to give out some kind of electricity, and we need to plug in a charger for this thing when it is going to work, right? When I'm going to operate this thing, electricity is important. So I told you that by using this organ, we can give or we can get different types of sounds. So earlier when I'm doing the activity about the frequency, you could hear the sound that the organ is going to emit, just a normal sound of an organ. But now I have changed the functions into a different kind of a sound. Now let's see like what kind of a sound is going to emit when I'm going to change the keys, when I'm going to change the functions of the organ. Right, now I have changed it earlier, so we'll see like what kind of a sound it's going to emit. So I'll change the function once again. So you could hear that by pressing a simple key on the organ in here, I can take different kinds of sounds. I can take different kinds of sounds. So here I'll take another. So you can hear it's a type of a guitar, a bass guitar, right? So once again listen to that sound. So if you want, you can change the sound into a different type of one, right? We'll use a different type of one then. So you can hear that different types of sounds can be emitted from the same instrument in here. Means that if you want, we can get the whole orchestra by using just a one single piece of a instrument. So this organ has an ability to play all the orchestra by using just a one single instrument. So that's the importance of having modern musical instruments. So these modern musical instruments, they have a sort of an ability to provide different kinds of sounds in different types of instruments. So we divided the instruments into three parts, like the instrument that generates sound according to the vibration of a membrane, then according to a vibration of a string, and also by a vibration of an air column. But this single piece of instrument can generate all of these sounds. So that's the most important thing in a modern musical instrument. So modern musical instruments are more often used in musical shows because they can emit all the sounds in an orchestra. So not only the sounds in instruments, but also different other types of sounds, like when you are partying, like DJ sounds can also be emitted from these instruments, right? So not only instrument sounds, but also other different types of sounds can be emitted by using the organ. So we'll use another one so that you can hear a different type of a sound. See? Now you can observe that different types of sounds. So these things are not related to the instruments, right? Some kind of voices and other sounds also can be generated by using these electrical instruments, right? So you could hear that these sounds, these are not being emitted from instruments. See? So that's the importance of a modern musical instrument. So modern musical instrument has an ability to play any kind of a sound. Now, if you take more advanced piece of instruments, not like these things, somewhat advanced types, once the musicians are going to play. So in those kind of cases, there are some organs which we can insert a pen drive. So by using a pen drive, we can even record a sound to that pen drive, or else we can play some sort of a sound which is in the pen drive by using the organ, right? So these modern musical instruments are more often being used at day-to-day life during musical instruments and other festivals, right? So that's the importance of modern musical instruments then. So next part is, or the next session is about musical therapy. Musical therapy. So we'll see what do you mean by this musical therapy. So music can be used to improve. Music can be used to improve. Improving means we can increase the quality. Increasing the quality is referred as improving, right? So we can improve. So music can be used to improve the quality of life. So I told you that improving means increasing. What? We are increasing the quality. So music can be used to improve the quality of life. How can music increase the quality of life? Have you seen when athletes, if you seen an event, if you haven't seen an event, right? We'll take we will take an instance like this an Olympic event. So in Olympic events, runners, most of the runners, I think you have seen that most of the runners in Olympic events, they use like headphones or else, earphones. They listen to music before going to their event. Why is that? Most of the runners are going to do these things. Most of the runners. Not the runners, but also other athletes as well. They listen to music before their event. What is the reason for this? It's because that listening to good music would allow them to calm their mind and to focus or to concentrate about the event. So it helps to calm their mind, to have some peace in their mind, right? You know that in an Olympic situation means it's a heavy stress. It's a heavy stress, right? Those athletes would have a heavy stress. It's because that it's a tense situation where the pride of the nation lie on the hands of that athlete. So they should have a good mental awareness and good physical fitness in completing that event. So we'll ignore about the physical fitness, but when you come into mental focus and the concentration, it's really important to have a calm mind. So how come we could get a calm mind? We can listen to music. If you listen to peaceful, calm music, then your brain activities would be peaceful and it would get calm as well. So that's why the athletes listen to music before they are going to enter an event, right? So music can be used to improve the quality of life. Music has an ability to heal the mental stress. So see, music has an ability to heal mental stress. Mental stress can be healed by listening to music, right? Most of the times nowadays, even the patients are being directed to listen music, right? If they have anxiety and sometimes if they have mental stress, right, then they are being asked to listen quite good music, calm music, right? So the condition of the patients can also be healed by using the music. So here, the ability to heal the mental stress and give spiritual happiness. It gives us the spiritual happiness. our mindset, right? Our mindset and our spirit will be calmed down, will calm down, right? If you are listening to good music. So especially these things are given to the people who are spending a busy life. Especially these things are, especially this musical therapy, or else music should be given to the people who have the busy lifestyle, right? So in nowadays, when people are buying a car, there is a special setup in the car as well, which can play radio. Sometimes we can download songs into it, right? Like when you're using a mobile phone, right? Like when you are using a mobile phone, we store different kinds of songs, sounds into it, no? So when people are driving, right, listening to that music would calm their mind, and it would allow them to focus on the driving, right? It helps to calm their mind, right? Each and every motor car has that ability in nowadays. They have a special instrument, a special audio box, right? It helps to play radio, or else to play any kind of a sound, or else a music, or else a song. So it helps to focus the driving process, or focus on the driving, and to have a calm, clear mind for the driver. So the treatment in here, when you take the musical therapy, the treatment is given using music. The treatments like this, it's a treatment actually for the people who are having, or the patients who are having mental stress, right? The patients who are suffering from mental diseases like depression, we can give, right? We can give the musical therapy or music therapy. So what is this music therapy? The treatment given using music. We use music to treat people, right? So this is known as the musical therapy. Musical therapy is the treatment given to the people, right? Musical therapy is the treatment given to the people by using music. So now in this part, or in this topic, you are given with several instances where the musical therapy is being used. So if you take musical therapy, here you can observe as a method of treatment to improve physical fitness and mental integrity, and to increase the mental integrity. Integrity means the focus, the concentration about a certain thing. Like in the earlier case, when people are driving, when they listen to music, they can focus very well on the road and about the driving process. If you take an event, if you take a running event, and athletes listen to music well, a good music, a pleasant music. So by that way, he can concentrate. He can focus on the event which is coming in the front. So as a method of treatment to improve the physical fitness and the mental integrity, to treat patients, and especially for the patients that has these kinds of diseases. What? Mental stress and depression. If a certain person is depressed, in normal terms, we'll assume like this. If a certain person is sad, sad means very sad. If a certain person is very sad, then listening to good music would heal his mindset. Listening to good music would heal his or her mindset for sure, right? So if a person is having a mental stress, or when you go further with the mental stress thing, when you go to the next stage of the mental stress, that condition is referred as the depression, right? That condition is referred as the depression, right? So in those kind of situations, musical therapy is most commonly used. Music is being given to those patients to listen regularly, right? It's to heal their mindset, right? So the patients that has mental stress and depression are given with musical therapy as a treatment. Then the patients that has heart attacks, suddenly, now if you are being panicked, suddenly you might get, or the people or the patients, if a patient suddenly going to panic, that patient may get a heart attack, right? So first thing is to calm their mindset and to calm that patient down. So to calm that patient down, a proper music can be given to that patient to listen. So by that way, his mind and his body would be relaxed. So for the people who has heart attacks and nervous problems, some nerves disabilities, right? So if they have nerve disabilities, so in that kind of situations also, musical therapy is being given. Then other than that, if a certain patient has some brain related problems like mental stress or any other brain related problem, right? So most of the times musical therapy is being used to treat those kind of diseases, right? So this is about the musical therapy then, right? So musical therapy is the treatment given to people the people with music, right? So here, training a person from his childhood to enjoy music will be helpful to develop a healthy mind. So if you listen to music quite often, if you listen to good sounds, if you admire music, then it is really beneficial for your life activities as well. It improves our quality of living. It helps to develop our mindset and to calm our mind and our body down, right? It helps to relax our body. So listening to music, quality music from childhood, helps in sharpening our life activities and our spiritual mindset as well, right? Now for your extra knowledge, right, I think you have seen this thing also in your television. See, nowadays musical therapy is used in many countries of the world to coordinate muscle movements in sport activities like running and cycling, to prepare patients for surgeries and as a healing method after surgeries. So most of the times, this musical therapy is used where coordinating muscle movements. In simple, when you are doing physical exercises, we refer that thing as aerobics, right? So when a person is doing aerobics, right? So in that kind of a situation, a rhythmical sound or else a music is played from the background, and the person or the physical exercise or the person or the exerciser is going to do their exercises according to that rhythm, right? That instructor is going to move their muscles according to that rhythm. So that thing is referred as the aerobics. Most of the times in the morning, I think you have seen these things in the television also. According to a background music, the instructor is going to move, and the people who are around the instructor are also going to move their legs and arms, doing physical exercises according to the rhythm of the music, right? So that thing is referred as the aerobics. So coordinating muscle movements and in sports activities. Have you heard about, there is an event called synchronized swimming. In synchronized swimming, there are several people, especially this thing is for the girls or for the ladies. So there are several ladies in a pool. It's an event, it's a sport, right? So there are several ladies in a pool. Now in this, these ladies should perform a dance, a synchronized dance for the background music provided by the occasion. So that event is called as the synchronized swimming. So in that kind of sporting activities also we use music. But here, especially in music activity, these sport activities like running and cycling, we use musical therapy. That's an instance where music is being used, synchronized swimming. But in here we are discussing about musical therapy, no? So musical therapy is being mostly used like running and cycling sport activities, right? Like running and cycling sport activities, musical therapy is being used. So to prepare patients for surgeries, surgery means it's a heavy process. It's some kind of a difficult process. If a person is going to face to a surgery, his mindset should be definitely calmed down. He should not be frightened of the surgery. So, to calm the mindset of the person, musical therapy is given. Musical therapy is given to calm the mindset of that person before a surgery. And even after a surgery, during the healing process, right? Let's imagine that a person has gone through a surgery. Now, he is unconscious. So, when the person is coming to consciousness, we can play a small background music with a good song. So, it helps to calm the mindset of that patient. Most of the times nowadays, now after a surgery, after a heavy surgery, like a brain or heart, most of the times patients are being asked to record their favorite musical songs down, and the hospital is going to play that song after the surgery. Now, when the person is coming to consciousness, he could hear that favorite music, so his mindset will calm down. Most of developed countries are using these kind of techniques to treat the patients with surgeries or even after surgeries as well. So, and as a healing method after surgeries, right? So, in each of these instances, I explained you how these processes are going to happen. So, again you are given with an assignment, prepare a letter to a wallpaper on musical therapy, which can be used to develop the quality of life. So you need to prepare, you need to write down a letter. How can you improve the quality of life using music, right? How can you improve the quality of life using the musical therapy, right? Include several things. Now we have learned we can treat to patients, right? We can treat the mental stress, we can calm down our mind by listening to music. Like that way, include several things in here and write down a letter, right, like an essay, and prepare it and present it to the prepare this letter, and you can present it to the class in your school, or else you can present it to a different kind of a society at your school, right? So this is the other assignment. Okay, right then. So this is all about with the musical therapy and the music. So in the next chapter, we'll be discussing other things related with the lesson.